I was attending a client presentation when the front doors of the building flew open with such intensity that many turned their heads to see who it was. Standing there was Karen Miller, our neighborhood HOA's president, her face glowing with what I could only call bitter excitement. She stomped across the polished marble in expensive shoes, her well-groomed finger aimed right at me while my clients looked around, bewildered. "You're terminated effective immediately," Karen declared in a booming voice that echoed across the lobby. "Gather your belongings and leave my premises within the next hour." I felt heat rise in my face as every person in the lobby turned our way. My clients fidgeted slightly in their seats, but I managed to stay calm. Karen stood tall, her arms folded, a self-satisfied grin forming as she enjoyed the scene of my public embarrassment. But there was a detail she wasn't aware of, something that helped me stand straighter and return her look without hesitation. I simply nodded and replied, "There must be a mistake, Karen." Her brows lifted at my composed tone. "The only mistake is that you assumed you'd keep your job after that poor excuse of work. Now leave or I'm calling the guards." Only 6 weeks ago, I had been an average financial consultant in this same building. The job wasn't flashy, but I genuinely liked advising clients about retirement and investing. Karen, though, made daily life almost intolerable. She wasn't just the head of our HOA, where we both happened to live, but also the building's office supervisor, giving her double the authority to exercise her obsession with control. Karen oversaw everything from break room, temperature, to assigning staff parking. If anyone questioned her decisions, they'd either get a write-up for defiance or suddenly receive bogus HOA warnings at home. I had witnessed skilled coworkers quit instead of putting up with her childish power trips, yet my circumstances had shifted drastically, though no one at the firm was aware. 2 months prior, my uncle had passed, leaving me a generous inheritance. I chose to invest in property. When I found out that the very office building I worked in was for sale, it seemed like fate. I created a holding company to stay anonymous and submitted an offer, which was soon accepted. The official transfer was set for the next week, but I said nothing, going about my days like usual while the sale wrapped up. Meanwhile, Karen's actions became more unhinged. She began sending obsessive messages about etiquette, violations, and installed cameras aimed directly at employee desks. During our recent HOA gathering, she pushed through unfair policies regarding lawn care and decorations, penalizing small things like a trash bin left out too long. When our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, cried over a $500 penalty for planting unapproved flowers, I realized something had to be done. The week before, Karen had cornered me near the coffee machine, scolding me for escorting clients through the front instead of the back. "This isn't some dumpy business," she hissed, poking my chest. "Maybe if you acted more professional, you wouldn't be stuck in that shoebox office." I merely nodded and said sorry, which only made her angrier. What she didn't know was that I had finalized the building purchase earlier that day. It belonged to me now. Standing there as Karen ordered me to leave, I felt the weight of the ownership documents inside my bag. I gathered the client files and calmly got up. I quietly apologized for the scene and told them we could reschedule for tomorrow morning. Once they left, Karen came closer, her tone now sharp and personal. "I've been waiting to do this for ages. You're talentless, blind to vision. People like you are just obstacles to people like me." I stayed composed. "You might be mistaken, Karen." I walked away, took out my phone, and deliberately called my lawyer within her earshot. "Hey, James, yes, it's done. The building's under my name as of 9 this morning. Can you draft new management notices for tomorrow? Appreciate it." I glanced back and saw Karen, completely still, her mouth slightly parted as she grasped what had just occurred. Without another word, I walked outside. The next day, I returned early with the new management group. We posted signs everywhere. Effective immediately, Smith Properties is now the official owner of Oakwood Professional Center. All concerns should be addressed to our manager, David Williams. At exactly 9, I watched through the new security feed as Karen came up to the main doors and scanned her badge. The red light blinked, and nothing opened. She tried a second time, then began hammering on the glass. The guard walked over and pointed at the updated signage. I watched her expression twist in disbelief as she read it. When David opened the "Doctor to talk," Karen brushed past and stormed toward her workspace, only to discover the locks had been changed. By now, several staff members had gathered nearby, watching the drama with interest. "Where is he?" Karen shouted, turning rapidly toward them. "Where's that nobody who thinks he can mess with me?" I stepped into view by the lift. "Good morning, Karen. I believe David's gone over the new arrangements." She let out a bitter laugh, more like a strangled cough. "This has to be a prank. You don't have the funds to buy this place." I gave her a soft smile. "Actually, Smith Properties is mine. I finalized the sale last week and the ownership officially transferred yesterday, just before you tried firing me." Her face lost all color as reality sank in. "That's not possible. You're just a money planner. You drive a beat-up Honda," I responded calmly. "I prefer frugal living. But that's not important. As the owner, I've appointed a professional firm to handle operations. Your job has been dissolved, starting now." Karen's expression shifted from shock to pure rage. "You can't do this. I've run this building for 7 years. I'll take you to court." I handed her a business card. "Feel free to contact my legal team, but know that I've documented your conduct. Multiple witness statements on harassment and bullying. Now I'll have to ask you to leave. Your belongings will be sent to your home." That's when Karen completely lost it. She began shouting curses, her face a furious red. She snatched a potted plant from reception and hurled it, barely missing, a senior client entering. Then she slammed the desk computer onto the ground, smashing it. "This is my property!" she screamed, flipping over chairs near reception. "I own this! You're all fired, every last one!" David called for help while I tried calming her. "Karen, please, this won't help you." She whirled toward me, eyes blazing. "You think you're clever? I'm still HOA president. I'll ruin your life. I'll fine your place into bankruptcy." Security showed up soon. But when they tried to guide her out, Karen slapped one of the officers. At that moment, David had to call emergency services. In a few minutes, 2 police officers appeared and tried to de-escalate the situation. Karen had now hidden behind the desk, threatening anyone nearby. When officers got close, she lunged toward me, yelling she'd destroy me. They had no option but to restrain her. Though she kicked and protested, they cuffed her and told her she was under arrest for disorder, property damage, assault, and trespassing. As they took her outside, she kept shouting threats, her voice echoing through the lobby. Everyone inside fell silent as the doors shut, her angry words still lingering in the air. The week after, Karen appeared before a judge and faced 3 misdemeanor counts. The judge, clearly unimpressed by her claim of being the victim, sentenced her to 100 hours of community labor, ordered her to pay $7,000 in property damages, and imposed a court order preventing her from entering within 100 feet of the building or reaching out to staff. But the final hit came from the HOA itself. An urgent meeting was held, and with video clips of her arrest spreading among neighbors, the board voted without opposition to remove her from leadership. Upon hearing the result, Karen sank into her seat, her mouth opening and closing in silence as her last shred of power slipped away. For the first time ever, Karen was completely mute. So if you believe in standing your ground, if you've ever dealt with people who tried to push you off your own path, or if you just love real stories that speak the truth, then this is the place for you. Hit that subscribe button and join us here at HOA Voice, where every story matters and every voice gets heard.